So, okay, I just got like an alert that says that it's live.
We are live, yo.
Yay.
Nice.
We're live?
We are live.
I mean, I knew I personally was alive. I didn't know that we as a...
We already have the wizard in the chat. What's up, the wizard?
Nice.
Look, remember I told everyone to mute their phones?
And you did.
Go Ken.
Nice.
Let's hear it for continuity.
All right, guys, we're gonna hang out for about 2 minutes and let the chat fill up a little bit, and we'll start in 2 minutes. So,
All right.
see who we got in here. Traveler
Sweet.
Jackson, yo.
All right.
We are live.
I only know where two of you guys live. So, Lay's from Canada, and then Zelda's in Florida.
Tampa.
Yeah. Are you like really in Tampa, or are you in like oh God, what's that shitty town just outside of the bay?
Brandon.
No, Bradenton. You're talking about Bradenton? That town rules.
No, Bradenton's a little south. Brandon is like a little east of Tampa.
No, not Bradenton.
Suburbs-ish of Tampa. Still Hillsborough County, though.
I used to live in Duval County. And
Taylor,
Duval.
you're live, dude. You are on time, dude. Lewis is in the chat of Taco Zone. What's up?
Hey, all right, cool.
Nice.
And then, okay, so Wildcat Mom, where are you from?
Michigan.
Michigan. Where? I got some homies at the tip of the mitten in Petoskey. Petoskey.
Right here. You're way
Oh.
bottom.
Okay, so that's near. That's like
That's
near
the
Missouri.
bottom. That's where you insert the hand into the mitten.
Oh, Liz from Niantic's in the chat. Hi, Liz.
What? Hey, Liz.
What's up, Liz?
Bro, everybody
Liz.
loves Liz. She's
Liz,
Liz
well,
is the
first of
best.
all,
Listen, she turned
She's
to the
like-
dark side.
she
She
goes-
went to Team Rocket.
She goes, why are
Yeah,
you
she's
talking
evil
about
now.
Florida?
Adam, you're dead to me. Liz is Bay.
It's because I don't have an R on my
Oh,
t-shirt.
Liz
We go
used to live in
change.
Florida too. She went to Full Sail. She lived in Orlando.
I want to hang out with Liz's dog.
Yeah, Perry, dude, I
Yeah.
was.
Look at
So
my
sad.
doggy.
She
My
wasn't
doggy's
there.
over there. There she is. There's Star.
Shout out to
Oh,
Perry.
Oh, nice.
Aw, Star. Okay, so we got Michigan, we got
All right,
Florida,
guys,
we got
we're going to
Canada.
start this up.
I don't have any animals. I'm like looking at my deli birds like, maybe I could get away with that.
Adam, you're just alone.
It's not my
So
fault.
sad.
Just me and my cards. That's all I need.
Do you want to
right?
borrow my emo CDs?
Oh, he doesn't need you to, he doesn't need to
Which
borrow
ones you
any-
got? Do you have like Seosin?
Never mind.
First
You've got
to last?
plenty of Sparks the Rescue, so we're set.
Oh yes.
Dude, ever since we talked about that, you knew them, and I knew that was my first tour. That I've been blasting them for like the last few weeks.
They're so
All
good.
right, guys, let's get this party.
Oh yeah. This is about AR photography.
Yeah. We're gonna-
Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Lured Up Podcast Creator Roundtable series for Go Snapshot Part 2, second one. Today is Saturday, July 27th, 2019. My name is Ken Pescatore. I will be your moderator today. I'm the host of the Lured Up Podcast. I'm joined by my co-host from the Lured Up Podcast, Adam Tuttle. Adam is here. Thank you so much for joining us, Adam.
Anytime.
We are also joined by an awesome panel of exceptionally creative and talented AR photographers that will go through one by one. We'll get to know everybody and go from there. Got a little housekeeping before we get things really going. This podcast is powered by Patreon. I would appreciate it if you would check ours out over at patreon.com/PokemonProfessor, where you can support this show for as little as $1 a month. And that $1 will get you access to our patron exclusive Discord, which is a fantastic place filled with fantastic people. And
It sure is.
sure is. And I want to give a huge shout out to our show supporter tier patrons: Brittany J, Matt M Pitts, Terry, David, Chris, Sydney, Bacon L, The Noise, Harry, Poke Nabbot, Purple Pancakes, Them Gears Be Bangin', Lady Goobly Meat, Super Nerd Fox, Go Ranger, Matt, Reversal, The Phoenix, Baker Boy, Jolt Switch, and Alex. Thank you guys so incredibly much.
You guys rock.
Yes, and a huge shout out to our executive producer, Paul Bhatt, and our Elite Four patron, Jessica Pfeiffer. Now, if Patreon isn't your thing, there's a couple other ways you can support us that we would appreciate. If you're watching this live on YouTube right now, thank you so much for being in the chat. You can subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and if you're listening via podcast service in a couple days, take a moment to leave us a review. 5 stars are the best stars. Thanks.
Those are the only stars.
All right, guys, I'm going to do a quick run through everybody, introduce everyone real quick. Then we'll go around the room one by one, give everyone a chance to introduce themselves, their brand, their content, and then we'll dig into some AR goodness. All right, our panel. Like I said, we do have Adam Tuttle here from the Lured Up podcast. We have Mythical Lae in the house. We have Pokemon Trainer Joe. We have Justin JC Picks, PopPunkPokemon. We've got Bobby, Pokemon Snaps. We've got Scott and Zelda. Look at the doggy. How could you not like big dogs? Are just the best. Shiny Shinx is in the house, all the way from the other side of the planet, 4 a.m. in mid-Europe. Thank you so much for hanging in there. And we have Sheila, Wildcat Mom, in the house as well. All right. We're going to go around the room one by one, give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. Mythical Lae, why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know where you're from, talk about your content, and just tell us about your stuff.
So I'm Alicia, aka Mythical Lae, and I'm from Nova Scotia. And I do just a lot of nature-ish photography, usually with water or ice, because we get a lot of snow here. And yeah, I just like to do as much nature as possible, really, in my photos.
Awesome. Pokemon Trainer Joe. What's up, man? Dude, his camera is crispy. I like that.
Yeah, I'm Joe from Texas. Pretty much try to just do.
Your volume is a little low. I think we might have lost you a little bit.
How about now?
I mean, you're still low. You were louder before.
Sorry. How about now?
No, I can't hear you.
Alright. Might have to come back to me.
Joe, we're going to come back. JC, what's going on, man? How are you?
How's it? Good to see you again, Ken. Miss you and your snuggles.
Yes. You were a good little spoon.
Yes, I was. I was so warm.
What?
Nothing. Sorry, just spreading some Jersey love. I am JC, also known as Pop Punk Pokemon on the interwebs.
It's not. It's buffering on mine too. It does that.
All right, Bobby, Pokemon Snaps, what's going on, man? I'm so excited that Bobby. I mean, I love your content. And I listen to you on. It's super effective all the time. So it's great to put a face to the name and hang out with you and stuff. So why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know about your content.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. My name is Bobby, Pokemon Snaps. I'm from San Diego, California, just south of Justin, I believe, right?
Dude, why aren't we hanging out?
I know.
I'm an
I thought
SB.
about that. I know. I thought about that the other day. But yeah, no. Just doing this AR photography stuff. I love photography in general, and I love Pokemon. So why not put the two together and make something of it?
Awesome. Scott and Zelda. Look, dude, is Zelda really that chill all the time?
Well, I mean, she has her hyper moments too, but yeah, for the most part, she's a pretty chilled out dog. Depends on if she gets excited or not. But I'm Scott. This is Zelda, and our entity is PokeDogZelda. For the past year, PokeDogZelda has been. It started as a YouTube and then an Instagram. We do videos. We do a little bit of Pokemon music, but the most popular, I think, out of what we do, of course, is the AR pictures of Zelda interacting with Pokemon, and it's gotten us where we're at now.
Awesome.
Oh, Tampa, Florida, if I didn't mention it.
Nice. And Shiny Shinx, how are you? Introduce yourself.
Yeah. I'm Shiny Shinx. I originally came from Spain, but I've got lucky enough to be traveling around lately, so I like to show different ambience and different environments in my pictures, and I also make some science into it lately.
Awesome. Wildcat Mom just had to drop off for a second. She said she'll be right back. Joe, how did you get your mic sorted? No, I still can't hear you. No, Wildcat Mom is back. Sheila's back. How are you, Sheila?
Hi, good.
My Wi-Fi is kind
Why
of
don't you
crappy right
introduce
now.
yourself?
Sorry.
That's all right.
My name is Sheila, also known as Wildcat Mom 81. I started my account in January, and I just really like to photograph Pokemon in different places and different settings, and I think I'm frozen again.
That's all right. We can still hear you. Oh, maybe not. We're losing her. We're losing her. Oh no! We'll get her back. We'll get her back.
And my daughter's boyfriend, Scotty, helps me a lot and takes pictures of me with Pokemon. Why don't you come and say hi, Scotty?
Can't hear you now. Can't hear you now. Now we can. Never mind.
Say hi,
Scotty,
Scotty.
come say hi.
Scotty!
Come on, Scotty.
Make an appearance. Hurry up.
Even if it's just a walk by.
There's Scotty.
Oh, hey, Scotty, how's it going?
The cameraman. Look, the
A lot of
cameraman.
pictures of me with Pokemon.
The camera.
But ones that are just Pokemon, I do. Hi, Scotty.
Hi, y'all.
All right, awesome. We're having Wi-Fi. We're having some Wi-Fi issues, but all right. Let me get things grounded here, Joe. I think we still can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, poor Joe.
Poor
Like,
Joe.
I can hear him, but it's so faint. It's like, sorry.
Yeah.
He was fine before. The soundproofing in the background is sucking up all his sound.
Just go like this and start yelling.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Anyway. All right. So one of the things that's super important to me about Pokemon Go, I mean, when it all comes down to it, this is about Pokemon Go, is the diversity of ways that we can play and engage with this game. And I think that, you know, as the game has iterated over months and years now, you know, we're 3 years into the game. They've really Niantic has really brought so many different formats and methods that we can engage with the game, and what that allows different trainers to do is connect with the game emotionally on so many different levels. And when Go Snapshot came out, it was something that I know that there were so many creative people out there that were so passionate about creating and shooting photography that they were doing so much with the limited tools that were available in the game prior to the Go Snapshot release. And then once Go Snapshot came out, it kind of just opened the doors wide open and was a game changer for so many people. I remember we had JC on the Lured Up podcast the week before Go Snapshot came out. We were like dying. We were waiting for it to come out. And it was like, you know.
And then it comes out on the Android.
Yeah, it came
And
out.
then I still didn't have it for like a week. And I think it was Kyler who said like the worst mistake they ever made was not giving me that feature.
But it was, you know, it was really cool to kind of see this grow and the hype kind of come around the technology and, you know, follow the tech, because that's really what Niantic has been, you know, leading the charge with, is showing off this awesome tech and then, you know, executing and bringing it to these little devices in our hands that, you know, are giving us and empowering us with so many cool ways to connect with Pokemon. And really what it comes down to is freaking Pokemon. We love, you know what I mean? We love these creatures. We love this world and this culture. And I really feel that of all the different ways you can connect and play Pokemon Go, Go Snapshot is probably the most emotionally, you know, you can connect the most with that, more so than any other gameplay mechanic, in my opinion. So that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about, because, you know, when you're creating, it is very important to kind of get across specific things in content. And I think that, you know, all the different people on the panel here kind of have their own motif, their own style, their own kind of thing that is very consistent from image to image. So I kind of want to go around the room and talk about, you know, what you guys really think about when you're creating an image. You know, what are the things that are important to you to kind of get across in your content? You know, when you kind of combine aesthetics and composition of art, you know, and, you know, trying to balance the viral nature of being on social media and using these platforms at, you know, you're not painting on canvas, you know, we're painting digitally. We're putting out content on social media. So you have to balance, you know, all of these analog and digital things trying to balance, putting out stuff to create and also putting out things that are going to help a brand grow and be viral. There's a lot to worry about and a lot to think about, more so than just, snapping a Polaroid picture. So what do you guys I'll call everyone by name here, but what do you guys think of when you kind of put together some composition, when you put together your work? Is there anything that you guys specifically think of emotionally when you're creating that you want to get across in your content? And JC, I mean, I think you're a good person to start with, because I know that this is something that's near to dear with you, because you've been with the Pokemon franchise for so long that you're able to kind of relive like your youth through these images.
Dude, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I've been reliving my youth through the project I've just been working on personally, and while playing this game, and while having like all these new events pop up and stuff like that. So like it just keeps happening. Like the nostalgia doesn't ever disappear. But I decided to start a playthrough of Blue, which is the very first game I ever owned back in 97, 96. And I'm doing that. I'm doing that like Go Snapshot playthrough of Blue, and just my content has a very generic focus in that it follows the story of what I've been doing in the game. So it kind of gives me an idea of what to post for that day as to what I encountered or where the story is going. So for me, it's like reliving the childhood memories of going through this game and having fun playing it over again, but also using like a brand new tool that's exactly what we needed for today to just kind of hype it up into today's standards. But also like give it like a modern twist. So
which I absolutely love, by the way.
Thanks, man. Well, I took a little bit of a break there, but I don't know. Remember we were talking with the Snorlax thing that it's just Niantic just seems to keep like syncing up with the project I'm working on. So when I got to the Snorlax part in my game, all of a sudden all the laying down Snorlaxes were around, and now I'm back in Saffron City, and all these Go Rocket stops have started appearing and stuff. But unfortunately, the Pokemon that I have lined up that I've already photographed but haven't edited yet haven't been shadow versions yet. So, but I think I'm still gonna just go through it as is. But it's interesting that that content is around right now and kind of motivating me more to get out and take more photos. So as far as emotional factor, it's just really fun to. I never know what I'm going to do with a photo when I take it. I just kind of see it and wing it as I edit. And it's like, all right, this looks good. This doesn't look good. I never really go in with a plan. I just have like a general idea and just kind of make it look good, mess it up a bunch, and then, undo, and eventually get something that I deem feasible and post for the world.
Awesome. Bobby, what about you, man? I mean, it's something that strikes me when I'm looking at your content, which I definitely appreciate, is the focus that you have on composition. And this kind of made me think, like, did you have a background in photography prior to any of this? Because when I look at your work, what I happen to notice with it is just it's pretty awesome how let me see if I could pull this up here. So the Pokemon, I mean, the stuff just screams Pokemon. And, the Pokemon are such a prominent focus in all of your work, where, every image is just, teeming with the kind of the wonder of what Pokemon have to offer to us. So from a compositional standpoint, I mean, do you have any background in photography, or is this you kind of flying by the seat of your pants in this AR space?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any professional background or anything, but before doing this, I used to do automotive photography. And obviously with automotive photography, you need a nice setting, but I mean, the point is really to take a picture of the car, and that's kind of the whole idea. So I kind of took that concept and I applied it to Pokemon Go, and I really wanted to bring the Pokemon out in the picture, but still sort of try to keep them looking somewhat natural. And so that's kind of what I try to do with each picture, is kind of make it look like it's there in whatever shot I'm taking, but make it the main focus of the shot.
Right, and that's definitely something that I see for sure in your work, and it's clear to see, like, when I'm looking at your content, like, that this is your work. You know what I mean? And I think that's super important.
You want to physically touch the Pokemon.
Yeah.
yeah, right. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like you really feel like it's there. And, you know, that kind of leads me to the next thing I wanted to talk about. And that's kind of bouncing off of what JC was saying, like the ability to tell a story. And, you know, when it comes to battling in raids or, you know, covering Team Rocket or anything like that, it's like, this is Pokemon, but it's aggressive, it's fighting, it's battling, you know, but sometimes with AR, we kind of allowed to goof off a little bit, you know what I mean? And have fun with it. And that's why, you know, I was really excited to have, you know, the combo of Wildcat, Scott and Zelda and Joe on the show, because they kind of bring this element of very, very fun kind of lighthearted content to, you know, to AR, which I really thought. So, I mean, what was it, Scott? Was it always about Zelda? Like, or like, when did it? Because, you know, when I see the stuff with your music and I see the stuff with the dog, it's like it's so different. And, you know, a lot of it is like when poor Zelda was rocking the cone of shame, you like, you know what I mean? Like it made me laugh, like so much. Like, is it ever like a thought that you want to bring humor to the content?
Well, absolutely. And I think what inspires me and kind of like how I've thought about my style to do the pictures has really evolved since I started a year ago. I actually didn't take any AR pictures or anything all the way to level 40, which was a little over a year ago now. But it had always been like if I was playing Pokemon Go, I would have Zelda with me. And I kind of had this running joke, like, you know, and it's that it's not really me playing, it's Zelda's account, and I'm just the guy with the thumbs that kind of follows her around, but she knows where all the shinies are. She goes to all the raids. You know, everybody around town knew me as just the guy with the dog. They might not have even known my name, but they would know her name. And hey, Zelda, when we go to a raid. After level 40, it just kind of hit me like, hey, you know, let me see what I can do. Maybe people will appreciate that, you know, some guy has went all the way to level 40 with his dog. And in a way, you know, I say Zelda's a level 42 because every step, you know, every Pokemon I've caught, if my app was open, she's been with me. So that was just kind of our thing. We started the YouTube, and at the time it was on Android. There was no Go Snapshot. There was just regular AR, or no AR plus. I mean, just, you know, the 2D AR facing forward. And the YouTube videos were basically me talking about whatever event was going on in game, showing a screen record of what, you know, I would be doing in game, but it would never show my face. It would only show just Zelda walking around whatever Pokestops you'd see, you know, that you'd see my screen spin, you'd see her walking around these things. Whatever I would catch, I would show just a picture, you know, just a screen record of her next to the Pokemon, her probably looking at the camera, smiling, you know, and then me talking about the game. I started putting, you know, those picture sets onto Instagram, and it was cool. It was fun, but I don't think it got like really cool until AR Plus hit Android, and I could really like basically make Zelda, you know, really interact with Pokemon, you know, really look at them, really, you know, kiss them, sniff them, you know, interact with them. And that's when I think our page really started to catch on. And from then on, I think I did a little bit less YouTube and more of the pictures. But yes, it's always been about Zelda. Humor is a big part of it, and, you know, being a little sarcastic about the game sometimes, and features that we do or don't like, and just different situations that a dog could get in if a dog is with Pokemon. But I think the humor and the fun and just the cuteness all mixed together is the aspect of it that made me really click with Joe and Sheila, to where we kind of started our own little group, to where we kind of support each other and, you know, go from there.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. And I'm just a sucker for dogs too. So that's like, I'm like, you know, it's like real easy to make me smile. It's like, just show me a dog. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, you know, completely invested. I'm all in. But Mythical Lae, I kind of want to show off some of your content here, because like you were saying, you know, you bring in nature, which I think is really, really cool. And definitely unique, and you know, you kind of bring a brand and a style of your own, and I think that one thing that your content does is you're able to tell a pretty significant story just with the visual medium, and I think that that's super important. So what's on your mind when you're choosing what to shoot and what to take pictures of, and what Pokemon to choose? Because I think that kind of all rolls into the composition of your work.
Yeah. I always, wherever I go, I try to picture what Pokemon I'd actually find there. I try most of the time to make it look like the Pokemon are actually in the setting. So I always think about that. And I also I like to show off my new catches a lot. So whatever Pokemon brings me joy that day, I like to AR in my surroundings. I do find I don't like to take photos when it's not sunny out. If it's cloudy or cold out, I tend to not want to go outside. So a lot of my photos are very sunny and happy. So I think I just definitely want to bring joy with my photos.
That's awesome. And one of the things that, along with Sheila, that I noticed with your content is, every so often you'll jump in there with the Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I think that's always a cool touch, because I just like seeing the human element, when I'm looking up AR photos, because it just kind of brings the realism and that kind of, immersion to another level, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And now, Shiny Shinx, I don't remember how I stumbled upon your content, but when I initially had found you, first of all, I had no idea you weren't from the States. So it's always cool interacting with international trainers. I think that's really cool. What's important to you when you're shooting? I mean, is there anything that you try to get across with your content?
Well, actually, I just come across something that I like and that I think is beautiful or pretty, and then I just feel the need to put a Pokemon in there because I think that'll make it prettier or more nicer. So it's just about making something beautiful even more beautiful, I guess. So, but lately I've been also trying to mix a little bit or put some more effort into the description of the posts. So I've tried to put together like science, because I have a background as a scientist, and I've tried to put that together with the photos that I've been making. So I've been trying to communicate some basic or some things that the picture makes me think about. I've tried to put that out to see if I can teach something, or if someone's curious about something, or someone's bored and wants to read a description of something.
No, that's really cool. I mean, I'm scrolling through your work right now, and it's like there's some exceptionally unique work here. So kudos to you, because I mean, some of this stuff is very awesome and definitely unique compared to a lot of the work that I see, on Instagram and on social media. It's great. And, one of the things that, kind of opened the doors for AR to kind of reach the masses was the Go Snapshot Challenge. And I do want to talk about that, because that was kind of this giant ability and way for the AR community to come together and start really, really sharing their content and bring their content to wide open to social media, where, whether or not people were looking for AR content, they would see it because the official accounts were sharing it, and, it was in the news and the YouTubers were covering it and all that. So, how important to you guys was the AR challenge? Because this kind of, I really think it really kind of changed everyone's perspective, the masses' perspective of what AR could be. And for a lot of you guys that do pretty significant editing, which we'll get into, but it kind of was a paradigm shift where editing was not allowed. So it leveled the playing field. You didn't need editing software. You didn't need editing skills. It was native photography, in-app, shooting the Pokemon as you see it. And it kind of brought this exceptionally raw and, balanced aesthetic to all the content that we're seeing on that. So, Bobby, what do you think about that? The importance of the Go Snapshot Challenge. I mean, was that kind of Do you think that really opened the doors for AR at large and the Go Snapshot community to reach a bigger audience?
I think it did. I think that what I really liked about the Go Snapshot Challenge is that it got people into the Pokemon aspect of the game. I know a lot of people who play Pokemon Go to play Pokemon Go just because it's a game that you can grind and you can get XP and you can raise your level and things like that. And Pokemon are just a theme to this game. But when you take something like Go Snapshot, where you take pictures of Pokemon, you're really pulling the Pokemon out of the game and making it about them. And so what I think it did is it brought more people into liking Pokemon or seeing it for more than just a game. And I think that was a big deal for the Pokemon community in general, as well as the AR photography community, because it just made the community grow. But I think it was more of the importance of Pokemon as a whole than just the AR community.
Right. Joe, we got you, man. Can we hear you yet? Yay!
Hey!
All right. So let me come over to you now then. With Go Snapshot, I mean, you're part of the trio that's involved with bringing humor and kind of this fun aesthetic to the AR space. Was that challenging for you with shooting raw, shooting native out of the app when the Go Snapshot challenge was running?
A little bit. I mean, I've sort of gotten into a habit of editing myself in because I don't have any friends here in real life to help me take photos. So all my photos are edited, but I actually didn't really enter anything, I don't think. But I did shoot photos. I just didn't like them just because it didn't fit my current style. But I started off just shooting native real light edits, so it was just more of a turn back to a focus of just focusing on composition, really.
And I got some of your work pulled up on the screen here now, and I'm dude, you crack me up, man. Like, I'm looking at some of these and it's like, this shit is funny as hell, man. Like it's just I don't know, man. There's something about it that just absolutely cracks me up. It's freaking awesome. But so with editing yourself into photos, we can jump over to kind of talking about editing here. Now, JC, you've been a huge help to Adam and myself with kind of showing us the ropes with how to edit on phone. And never export the image out off the phone and then do editing and then bring it back in. And I think that that kind of style of editing, that process is exceptionally unique to what this community is all about, because from what I understand, a majority of AR photographers are editing on phone, which is really cool. So how important is the editing process to you? I mean, and something that I think is probably the most difficult for the inexperienced AR photographer to get a hold of is the issue of over editing and oversaturating with editing. And, that's something that I think that the panel could probably offer a lot of insight to, of, kind of conveying that less is more when it comes to tools and what we could do with them. So, when I look at your content, I mean, it's clear as day, this shit is edited. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of work and a lot of post-production that's done on it. But do you ever feel that some of this editing can remove the roots of Pokemon Go, where it takes it away so far that it's so far removed from a native and raw image? Or is it the world your oyster? You know what I mean? Like how do you feel about that? Like, is too much editing, even if it's done tastefully, is too much editing too much, or is it like, fuck it, go for it?
I think both. I think too much is too much, and fuck it, go for it, because there's a finesse to it. So kind of what I do is I'm very practical. Like, I'll take the photo and then edit the photo I took. Some folks are like using photos that they've taken on vacation and stuff and editing Pokemon into that photo. Some folks are taking a just a picture of the Pokemon that they've cropped out the Pokemon completely and putting them into something new, which is, I mean, kind of what you and Adam are doing on a very small scale with the cards, but I've seen it with accounts like Dark Type Rises, who just is creating phenomenal stuff, just with like the Godzilla stuff they did, and it, like, just there's a finesse to it. So if you find a theme that really works and over editing just happens to just look good, what's really nice is that you have this essentially 3D module, at your fingertips that you can place this thing anywhere you want, get any angle of it that you want, erase what you don't want, and then add what you need. So that's one quality to it. I have a lot of respect for people who don't edit at all, which is what I really loved about the Go Snapshot Challenge, because it just created an even playing field and had everyone in our community, especially like when we were all talking on the Discord and stuff, we were all like a little upset that we couldn't even do minor edits and stuff like that. But I was pumped. I loved the idea because it forced everyone to go out and get even more creative. So a lot of times it gets a little, what's the word? Not lazy, but like we just are so attached to our editing style sometimes. It's great to have something to force us to go outside the box and try something new, but also it's very much you, So the photos that I submitted, I know, were received very well. And a lot of people saw the photos and thought, hey, it was you. So I know a lot of people saw them and thought, this is very much in your style. And I'm so glad to have read that it was actually you that posted it. So there's a way to create a style that's all your own through the way in which you take photos, but also through editing. So it could go either way. But again, that finesse is very important because I've definitely seen, and I've made these mistakes myself early on in my photo career, where over editing is a little much, but that comes with time and that comes with practice. And eventually you go back and look at your old stuff and go, oh, what was I thinking? But it's also important to, show growth. So I always leave in the mistakes.
Nice. And you did mention Adam, and I do want to show off some of Adam's work because Adam, I'm super proud of you, man, because you've come a long way with getting to learn these tools. And again, thanks to the help and this AR community is fantastic with how open everyone is to helping each other. And I think that's, kind of speaks volumes to, the culture and nature of Pokemon at large. But, Adam, you've kind of fallen head over heels with AR as well. And I mean, Toto Letty created the AR breakout series, right? Yes. I want to make sure I credit him. But there, when this kind of thing started getting popular, Adam's love really came from the TCG. So what Adam started doing was putting together, TCG cards and AR, and it's kind of taken off to like a mind of its own, with some of the style. And what I like about it is the work is not over the top when it comes to how it gets put together or how the background is. It's pretty natural. And I mean, it's like, how is this just something fun for you, Adam? Like, I mean,
this is absolutely fun for me. And with the release of the Shadow Pokemon, like, I don't know, I've been sick, so I haven't posted for the past couple days, but I've been really thinking about what I want to do next. And the release of Shadow Pokemon has made me, take a step, back and then rethink about what I could bring to the table. And I did the Dark Raticate today from the Team Rocket TCG set, and it's like, that's something that it's super old, but it's a Dark Raticate. And there's, Dark Charmeleon, Dark War Turtle. And it's like, we finally, I can articulate that in visual form from Pokemon Go on the TCG card.
I see you using a first edition card also.
Hey, I've only got a couple of them.
Minor flex.
Yeah, right.
That's really awesome though, Adam. And it's cool. I mean, even as I scroll through our account here, look at
the Sharpedo one. Go back.
Dude, it's
I'm like, I love that one. No, and then the Geodude one. And then
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's become it's just fun. And
then look at the tag team ones. I don't know. I get so excited about this.
Dude, I love it. I mean, it's a very simple tactic, and you seem to have mastered it, and it's really fucking fun to see what you come up with next.
And it's like I'm highlighting
Absolutely.
the GX moves. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm keeping that element in there.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love
Kind
it.
of makes it a little
Really
bit
cool to see.
unique.
I don't even want to try it because you're too good.
That's how I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, and I've had ideas, and they will surface soon.
Yay!
There's one more, next level I wanted to bring, but new sets are releasing, every couple months, so there will be more. There's newer content on the horizon. I'm excited for, so just keep an eye on our page.
Hell yeah, flex. But yeah, no, it's definitely cool. And then Wildcat Sheila, do we got you? Are you there? I wanna make sure
I am at the moment.
All right, you're here. Awesome. All right, so you're part of what do you guys call each other? The trio, the
Doug Trio.
The Doug Trio.
Doug Trio.
I love it. That's so great.
Yeah, I
awesome.
came up with it.
And
It's my idea.
and what's kind of important to you when it comes to creating content here? I mean, is the I notice in a lot of your work that you're in a lot of these images yourself, and I think that's something that's kind of you've really jumped into. Is that's something you'd like to get across, right?
Yeah, it's just fun to interact with the Pokemon and to see that, like, in reality, like with the Pokemon doing fun stuff. I try to do funny stuff, but sometimes I can't, come up with something funny. So,
Wildcat, I loved what you did with the bench photo where it was you on one side and then another creator on the other. That I don't remember what the hashtag was, but I really loved that series.
It was my daughter on the Pokemon and Pokemon Go 22's daughter or two daughters and a Pokemon. So they're from Japan.
Yeah,
and we're
like
from
two worlds apart, like collaborated in something so wonderful. I really, really loved that piece.
Thanks.
Yeah, some of this stuff is really cool, and I think that it's even on Lured Up podcast. It's like we say fuck, we talk about dick and fart jokes all day long. You know what I mean? But it's like the family element is kind of a really cool thing when it comes to Pokemon because I think that it's it's a way to connect with our kids. It's a way to connect with our kids' friends, and I think that I spent this last community day playing with my son and my son's friend who just started playing Pokemon Go for the first time. So it's like every Pokemon he was catching was new. He caught his first shiny with us, and it was a way to reconnect with the game. Like I felt so awesome. Like it was so amazing when it just seeing him be able to experience that, and my son being able to teach another kid because he's obviously living in this household, he can't escape it, but it's like, it was just a really cool thing to see. So I always appreciate, even like when I watch like Tauntaun's videos, it's like, I love seeing the family element involved. So it's always cool when the kids can make their way, onto the screen. All right, let me shift gears here. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I try to include my kids in the pictures, and some of their friends have been in the pictures, and my son Tyler, his best friend Perry, he basically gets all his shinies with us. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. See that's awesome. You know what I mean? That's like, you're imprinting yourself on these memories. You know what I mean? So it's like, when you look through your Pokemon storage, it's like a scrapbook. And when you look at these images, it's like a scrapbook. It's like, oh, I remember where I was. I remember where I was. I remember, look, it's got the timestamp. It's got the location stamp. I remember who I was with. And it'll always bring back those memories. And I think that's...
Yeah, we took him to Go Fest, and he got his first shiny Pikachu. So he was pretty excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
And the flower hat. Oof, the flower crown.
Flower crown.
So that's super exclusive.
Yep.
Super rare.
Yep.
All right. Well, I kind of touched on it before, and it's something I want to come back to here is the importance of the AR community, and how the AR community is kind of it motivates itself, it supports itself. You know, and something that I saw that Ash Ketchup did, and I see a lot of creators starting to do this. And Bobby, I noticed when I was on your page, is kind of hijacking Instagram stories to kind of partition your work in a way that will allow people to have more of a destination of something to do and engage with your page, almost like a website. And I think that being able to kind of guerrilla market and guerrilla tactics against, you know, on social media is super compelling to me. But what can you speak to that, like with what you're doing? Because what I noticed is when I look at your page, you know, you're kind of creating something almost like gamifying consuming content.
Yeah, well, so I mean, are you referring to like the Pokemon quiz?
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
yeah.
Even the way you have the tips partitioned, like it's like a website.
Yeah. Well, like the thing that so the Pokemon quiz thing specifically was started because one of my purposes of doing all of this is to allow people to learn more about Pokemon. I have a lot of friends who play the game, who play Pokemon Go, and they just play Pokemon Go. And I think there is a lot of credit due to the Pokemon Company and the people who created this franchise 23 years ago. And so I want people to be able to play the game and see a Pokemon and then know that there is like a story behind that Pokemon. There are characteristics to it that have evolved over 23 years. And I just wanted to bring that to the game in a way. And so I thought, well, if I put it in my Instagram stories, it allows people to, one, learn about Pokemon, learn about some stuff that you're never going to really learn about in Pokemon Go. But on the other hand, it also highlights how awesome the AR community is, because I never use, for the Pokemon quiz specifically, I never use my own pictures because that would be, no, that wouldn't be, that'd be too much. But I want to highlight the other great photographers that are out there, and I want people to see their work. And so between being able to educate people on Pokemon and what they mean, as well as show off the AR community, I just thought it was the perfect combo.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of one of the coolest things, and what I take advantage of all the time when I'm looking for creators to kind of showcase and cover on the show is I could just kind of drop something out on Twitter like, hey, you know, show me who you're into. And it's like, boom, 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 boom. You know, everyone's dropping names. And then, and, you know, I think that's really awesome. And that's where someone like Shiny Shinx will come in, because I mean, it's like, you know, learning about international creators is exceptionally important to me, because one, from an aesthetic perspective, where I'm seeing architecture and locations that I clearly cannot see in fucking dirty Jersey. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to, you know, it's like, you know, when my son was little on my way to work, I live by, you know, I work by like the Exxon Mobil refinery. It's like, look, there's cloud factories, you know, it's like, no, that's fucking pollution. You know what I mean? But it's like being able to like see, you know, but it's like that's one of the things that's most, you know, in engaging with me, is being able to see these locations. And you know, it makes so much sense now looking at your work, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't America, man. Like this is definitely not. And I'm very intrigued by that. And you know, it's, you know, I think that what the community has done, and again, you're utilizing the stories, and that's something I want to showcase here, because you're talking about how you can kind of bring a scientific perspective to it. And what you've done is you're breaking apart the biomes, and I think that's amazing. It's like such a great idea. Like, what gave you the idea to kind of utilize the stories to kind of tell this narrative?
Since I was always playing in different spots, I realized that depending on the place I was, my stories were like telling different tales, different stories. If it was like in the snow, then I was like, oh, I'm freezing and I'm trying to catch this Kyogre, but I'm freezing and I can't. Or if it was in the summer, it's like, oh, I'm full of cacnea, I cannot see any other spawn, I'm so fed up of the cacnea. So when I was changing my spot, I was changing the play game, and I thought that maybe some people were not able to see that, so I was in the position to show it. So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And some of the other stuff that I just noticed is you've got some photos from the catch sequence. That's like,
Oh yeah.
let's talk about that for a
Wonderful.
second. Like, do any of you guys still shoot from the catch sequence, or is this all in Go Snapshot?
Only Vine Whip.
No.
Only
Yeah.
Vine Whip.
Yeah, I did that yesterday with Bulbasaur. Vine Whip.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of comes back to snoozing Snorlax, because that was purposefully and very it was there. Niantic was very clear. If you wanted to capture this on in an image, you had to do it in the catch sequence. Mythical do you ever do that? Like, is that like, do people still do that?
I mean, well, when the Snorlax came out, that was my first time in months that I had done like a wild AR encounter, and I forgot how to. And I was at first, I was really against Go Snapshot. Like, I was terrified of it. I didn't want it. But then now I use it all the time. And now with like the shadow Pokemon, I started to do it again, because when you capture it, their eyes, when you photograph them, they're happy again. But before you catch it, they look angry. So I like that facial feature of when they're wild.
I did not know that.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Good point.
The more you know. No, I think that's super important too, because I remember when you would see the trainer name in the corner, and obviously with Instagram we're cropping, and a lot of times you lose that anyway, but that was kind of like the hallmark of taking a picture in the catch sequence. It's like, oh shit, that says their name. That's native. They did that. This isn't Go Snapshot. And I think that's, something really cool about taking it in the, especially like the risk versus reward of shooting a shiny Pokemon before Go Snapshot came out. You know what I mean? Like, Lou, I'm sure everyone on the panel here, like, Scott, have you ever lost a Pokemon, a shiny Pokemon to an AR shot?
It used to happen all the time before Go Snapshot, and I'll tell you, nowadays I do the live, like, catching an AR just for fun and recording it in with and putting it into a story. Again, the humor aspect of it. It's fun to see Zelda in the screen when I'm actually throwing a ball. But otherwise, I think the only time I'm really motivated to do a non-Go Snapshot picture is to do the weekly Wildcat Mom's AR Wild Wednesday, which just to stay competitive, to stay in the game. Like, I love jumping on all the different hashtags and everything, and that's one of the cool ones. Even though for the way that I take my pictures with Zelda, it's kind of a pain in the butt to do them what we'll call the old-fashioned way, I guess. But it's still, I guess it's still fun because it's still a challenge, so it makes the game a challenging game. But it can be annoying when you press the grass and they're not dropping where you want, or like you said, losing them if it's a shiny. I don't think I've risked it with a shiny in a long time.
I'm sure no one misses that risk.
That happened.
We lost so many shinies on the community day ones.
Yep, community day ones all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it was GoFest, not this year, but last year, where I was trying to catch a Minun.
Who cares?
No, I know, right? It doesn't matter now.
I'll trade you an extra. I have so many from GoFest that year. Please take them. Give me a
I have
Pidgey.
like 8 or 9 of them, but
well then.
But no,
That's the problem.
I think that the community has done an amazing job of kind of motivating itself and creating these challenges, and creating different themes, and like Sheila, what Scott was just saying, like you're doing like a weekly thing. I mean, I think that's super important because it's that reminder to come back to it. And I think that how the creators are kind of putting these hashtags together, or creating a challenge, or even creating a theme like AR Breakout, or AR at the movies or something like that, where it's like people are going to follow a similar theme. I think that's super important. And I think that's a lot of fun, because when everyone's kind of working on the same theme, it makes it a lot easier to just scroll through images, because there's a consistent feel and vibe through all of them. And it's like you can kind of consume, if you're sampling food, if you're eating lots of little sandwiches, it's a lot easier than if you're going from like, this kind of completely different type of food to this type of food. If it's all the same, it's a lot easier as a consumer to kind of handle and consume it in mass. So I think that's really, really, really cool. Now, something I always like doing whenever I bring creators on is kind of putting the tinfoil hat on, putting the inappropriate speculation glasses on, and talk about features of the game that aren't here yet, and what we would like to see about future iterations of the game. And we've seen how the gym system has evolved. We've seen how raids have evolved. Now we have the Team Go Rocket Invasion, how Pokestops have evolved. And then we had standard AR, and then we had Go Snapshot. What do you guys think is the next iteration from a photography standpoint? Would you ever want to see anything like in-app editing, even if it's filters like Instagram, or some kind of thing where you can add text to images like Facebook or Instagram, or selfie mode or something like that? Like, what do you guys think?
Front camera, for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, let me go around the room on this one. Adam, what do you think? Is selfie mode something that you would like to see?
Yeah, selfie mode, but more or less, I'd like to be able to, like you said, with the ability to add text to images, because they have that share feature, and it's like, I'd be more apt to use the share feature if I could add my own text to it.
Rather than pull it out to a third
Correct,
party
yeah.
and have to bring it back, and all that. Mythical Lae, what about you? Anything you think that you would like, if you had a crystal ball or a magic wand, that you could add a feature to the game? How would you kind of iterate on Go Snapshot?
I'd like to see different emotions from the Pokemon.
Yep.
Interesting.
Happy or sad or angry or something. Just
I
like
love that
different
idea.
expressions. Yeah.
Well,
That's something I've wished for a while.
That's cool too,
Yeah.
because you mentioned that with the shadow Pokemon, how they kind of have that aggressive look, during the catch sequence, and then they're kind of back to their bubbly self, but with evil red eyes. Like especially Squirtle, it's like it's like, hey, you know what I mean? But that's really funny.
Yeah, and if it was influenced by, your buddy distance, like the longer that you've walked with your buddy, the happier it is. Type deal. I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
So
Actually,
it shows off that you actually had to
build a
achieve
relationship.
that. Yes, exactly.
That's true.
Joe, what about you, man? You got anything that you would like to see this, Go Snapshot iterate to?
Sort of building on like what Leo was just saying, kind of like how in the main series game you could play with them and do like little high fives and stuff.
Like a Pokemon or me?
Like
Yeah.
what?
Like
Yeah.
like Pokemon Refresh. Like you can actually scratch their belly and
Yeah, just do kind of stuff like that. Like maybe give them treats and stuff, and they react to that.
Nice.
I think that would be pretty cool.
And JC, you've talked in the past about the different attack animations, because that's something that you're typically forced to create on your own, via third-party stuff. I mean, is that something that's still important that you'd like to see come to the game?
Yeah, I have a couple ideas, just kind of piggybacking off of Lay and Joe there, with emotions, but also the attack stuff, so like electricity, fire, vine whips, stuff like that. I would love to see those come to animation styles in addition to emotions too, because, like we were saying earlier, emotion is a big component to what we do, But I would also really love a night mode where you could just click it on to night mode, where your camera would adjust settings to be able to take pictures better in the dark, because all of us know here that taking pictures in the dark is pretty much the worst.
Unless you're trying to intentionally block out the camera.
Oh yeah, that's for a slightly different purpose. But yeah. You get a lot of digital noise. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I remember when you had me on right before Snapshot dropped, I remember speculating about a zoom feature.
Mm-hmm.
But then after the practicality of using Snapshot, the zoom is technically your body. You walk closer, you walk further away. So you don't need to actually have that feature in there.
Nice. Bobby, what about you, man? You got I mean, Zoom would probably be great for you because in your content, these Pokemon are right at, so in your face. You know what I mean? But is there anything that would you would kind of really like to see?
I would say I have to go with what everybody else is saying about the attack animations. I think that is super helpful, or just different in the pictures to have those attack animations. But one thing I would actually like to see, and maybe not even associated with Go Snapshot, because there's already a way to do it with that, is when they're in the wild, to get them to make their attack animations when you want them to. So calling all the way back to Pokemon Snap, they had a berry you could throw, or like a pester ball was what it was called, that you could throw at the Pokemon to make them like attack, make them do their motion. And sometimes, you're sitting there for way too long waiting for the Pokemon to attack.
Throw rocks.
So to get a way to get them to attack when you want them to. And I would actually like to see that happen. Even though nobody's using the wild AR anymore, I still like it a lot. So I think that'd be fun.
Maybe more people would if that was a way that you could, if they limit the ability to have those further interactions during the wild sequence. I mean, that would be enough incentive alone to get people back, into utilizing, photography during the catch. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Scott, what about you, man? Anything you'd like to see?
2 or more Pokemon in the same shot.
Oh,
I think
shit.
being able to immerse
Absolutely.
your world in multiple Pokemon, which now, of course, you can do with edits, but being able to do that in game and just choose a battle party of I want these 3 or 6 Pokemon in that shot and setting it up without doing any fancy editing.
Yeah, because then you could
would
have your
just
battle
take it to
party.
the next level. Oh yeah,
That'd be
Pokemon
so
Playground.
sick.
so
Oh.
good. That'd be so
totally.
Yeah.
Because then for PvP, that would increase, traffic for PvP. Because then you could be like, all right, this is my team. Show me your team.
Right.
Yep.
Well, if you remember, if you were at GoFest, we kind of had that with the Jirachi sequence. When you finished the Jirachi sequence, you had all
Yeah.
5 of those Pokemon. But if you noticed, when you moved around, it didn't like glue the grid down. It moved with it.
Yeah,
So that was kind of a
Yeah.
bummer. So maybe they just haven't really figured out the physics of that
Well,
yet.
I also think that things like that are definitely limitations of the hardware. You know what I mean? And it's the handset itself, and in the software too, with being able to anchor multiple pieces to the map, to the grid, to the earth. I think that might be a little bit far off. And I got an idea I'll talk about in a second. But Shiny Shinx, what about you? Is there anything you'd like to see? I mean, one of the things I like with your content is kind of the way that the Pokemon blend in with their surroundings. I mean, would you want anything to experience with that, or what do you think?
I'd like to see it tie in more better with the actual gameplay. Like, for example, if you take X pictures of one Pokemon, of the same Pokemon, then you can earn candy. Or if you maybe lucky Pokemon can learn different animations, or maybe purified Pokemon can learn the same attack animation than wild Pokemon do, like something like that. That's through air photography.
Yeah,
that's
interesting, because that would kind of incentivize more people to use it.
Yeah.
That's actually really, really interesting, because I know even like working towards your photobomb badge is enough incentive for a lot of people to take AR pictures, and there's nothing too exciting about just increasing a number on your badge, but that's typically enough to get people to use it. So if there was further incentive like that, that's really freaking cool. That's, or earning TMs or something like that's a great idea. Great idea. Awesome. And Sheila, what about you? Anything specific you'd like to see out of AR?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to like move the Pokemon, just like swipe my finger and like put it in a tree, or actually like make the water Pokemon actually in the water instead of floating above it. So don't have to do that in edits.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because something that I've been a huge advocate of wanting in this game is AR occlusion, and I know that that's again a limitation of the hardware and software, and that's something that we could potentially see in further iterations of the AR kit and AR core and all that stuff, and the technology of what we have is just not there yet. And maybe with 5G on the horizon and more powerful handsets coming, we'll be able to start having occlusion. And I want to flex a little bit here for a second, because the biggest photo I've ever done on Instagram was
Starbucks one, right?
The Starbucks one, where I simulated the
So
the
good.
So great.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
Love that.
and people were like, "How the hell did you do that?" And it's like I had to explain that I did this out of the app, but something as simple as just being able to cut them off, you know what I mean, and tuck them behind the register here, it gave it such a life of its own. I mean, not only did the palettes match up perfectly and everything, but it's that, you know, occlusion, I think for me, when we saw the demos of the AR playground and, you know, Pikachu and Eevee kind of running around the park bench and behind a bush and behind a tree and, you know, through people's legs and things like that. I think that would be a game changer, not only in a static photo image, but, you know, also in the ability to bring video to Go Snapshot. Obviously, we need a different name because you're not taking a snapshot if you're using video. But, you know, I think that occlusion is really the big thing that the game can really benefit from an AR perspective. That's something that I want to see, and I think it's just a limitation of the software and the hardware, unfortunately. So we just got to wait for the tech to kind of catch up. But I call that the holy grail, you know, of exactly what I want out of this. But, all right, guys. Well, I kind of want to bring everything to a close here. You know, we've been going on for about an hour. In about 30 minutes, we're getting our Team Go Rocket announcement. Make sure that everyone's able to experience that. So I want to kind of wrap up now. I want to go around the room. I want everyone to be able to talk about their content one last time. Let us know where we can find everybody here. I'm going to links to everyone in the description. Make sure that you're you're connected with all these creators. Like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And if you can, I want you to name drop one creator that you're into or that you'd like to send some other traffic to it, and I'll throw their link in the description as well when the podcast comes out next week. So, Adam, any obviously you're a co-host of the Lured Up podcast. You're us, so you're easy. But any creators that you're kind of digging on right now?
I want to get it right. So hold on 1 second. Pokegenics.
Yes. Yeah,
because he's been an inspiration, you know, for like the tag teams. Then he has some with like the cards on the table and stuff, and just kind of like pushing boundaries, if you will.
Awesome. Mythical, what about you? Why don't you let us know where we can find you? Where do you want our community to come visit you, and also any creator that you're specifically into right now?
Well, you can find me at Mythical Lae Snaps on Instagram. I have Twitter too, under the same thing, but I don't really use it that much. And I'm trying to think of their name. I'm sure one of you guys can figure it out. It's the one that does all the great textures on the Pokemon, like make them look
Hartlepool. Hartlepool.
Yes,
so good, so good.
They look so real. It's awesome.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, I it's funny that you hit the nail on the head where you say, oh, maybe you guys will know the one that does the textures, and boom, right away. And I think that speaks volumes to the artistic composition of some of the work that we're seeing in this space, which is really freaking cool. Joe, what about you, man? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Pokemon Trainer Joe. Yeah, I don't really do Twitter any much.
You guys are only on Instagram. It's like, I'm so envious. It's like, man.
Yeah, I don't really like Instagram or Twitter, that is.
Well, I just can't get into it. I'll scroll for a minute or two, and then, that's enough.
It's like, I need images. And any creator that you want to shout out or promote?
Probably have to say Pokemon Just Doing Things.
Yeah.
They're like my big inspiration for video.
That's good.
Just that you feel like you're in the video, like in the space with the Pokemon.
The sound engineering is just on point. Yeah. If you've never seen it, Ken, you gotta watch. You're gonna get glued to it. It's so good.
I just wrote it in the show notes because I've not followed this, so I'm all about it.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. JC, what about you, man? Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at PopPunkPokemon YT. If you're into the Twitter thing, I do that. I do post some photos there, but I mostly just bitch about not being able to go to Spice Girl concerts. You can find me there at JCPix3. And the shout out, I was gonna say Pokemon Just Doing Things. That was gonna be mine, but I'm gonna go with and PKMN. That dude
took mine.
Yeah, that dude is so good. Like anytime he posts something new, it's first of all very clear that it's his. and second, you're just like, I wish I'd have thought of that first. His
So
stuff
true.
is really, really good. But honorable mention to Dark Type Rises because that content's really
You
great.
took my second one. What are you
Sorry.
doing? Come on, man.
All right. Well, Bobby, I'll come back to you. I'll give you a
Thank
second
you.
so you
Thank
can kind of
you.
think about that. Scott, where can we find you and Zelda? Oh, very sleepy Zelda.
Sleepy puppy.
Okay, so PokeDogZelda on Instagram, YouTube, and technically Twitter, although the Twitter is, I think, just a direct copy of what goes on Instagram. I made it just to make it, but I'm not as active as maybe I should be. Mostly on Instagram. And then on YouTube, I had mentioned earlier I was doing the videos and then kind of transitioned into mostly doing AR. I'm trying to do one new AR music video on YouTube per month. I'm a month behind because Zelda got sick last month. She's better now, thankfully, but I kind of took some time off even from playing Pokemon Go. But aside from our pictures, that's a big exciting thing that I'm trying to do is basically Pokemon lyrics, songs, about what's going on in the game, including Zelda in it, of course, and even having feature photos and video clips from other creators like we did in my last one. And then I've got a new one that will drop sometime in this upcoming week. And then after that, there will actually be a Doug Trio song that will be featuring me, Pokemon Trainer Joe, and Wildcat Mom. So that'll be exciting. We're starting to write the lyrics for that one. So that'll be the third one. So hopefully on a 1 month basis with the YouTube, but then just about every day with new pictures with either Zelda or my other dog, Daisy, as main posts, and then just things going on with all my dogs, and then any game progress on our stories every day.
Awesome. And any other creators you want to shout out?
Yes, I'd like to shout out Epsy Leons, actually, because she's another one like me, Joe, and Sheila that actually puts a lot of fun and excitement and positive energy into her pictures. Of course, she has dogs as well, and she kind of inspired me to, do what I do with Zelda and my other dogs. So yeah, she's another great one to check out.
Awesome. Shiny Shinx, I know you must be so tired. I don't even know if you're going to be able to go to sleep now. It's like your day is starting, and like now, it's like thank you so much for hanging in there with us. But where can our community come find you?
I'm the same as the other guys. I'm mostly active in Instagram by ShinyShinx09, but I also have Twitter, and if you like it, you can follow back. Not paying it many attention.
Awesome. And any creators that you want to shout out? Any other international creators that us Americans can come look at?
Yeah, there are a lot, but I've been lately fascinated by the nature shots of Will-O-Wisp, because he takes all his all his shots in Lebanon, and it's so sunny and so beautiful, and I bet it's really different from America as well.
Excellent. That's what I want to see. That's definitely what I'm into. And Sheila, what about you? Where can we find you? Oh, Kitty.
Pistol. Say hi, Pistol. At Wildcat Mom 81 on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter or anything like that.
And any creator you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out at XX Bone Daddy XX89. He was the one that kind of told me about Instagram back in September of last year and putting your pictures on there and stuff. So I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for him. His pictures are not highly edited, and he just puts them in the right spot, and they're really good pictures.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you guys so very much for coming on. If I'm going to shout out someone, which I want to do, I want everyone to go follow
Hey, wait, can I shout out someone?
Oh, wait, Bobby. We got Bobby. Yes. Who?
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, hold on, Ken.
I forgot.
Ken?
My bad. Shit. I'm drinking tequila.
I remember my first podcast.
Look, I did it. Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Floor is yours, Bobby.
You can find me on Instagram at PKMN.snaps and on Twitter at PKMNsnaps, no dot. So I'm active on both all the time. You can find me there. I also am, as Ken mentioned earlier, every once in a while I'm on a podcast called It's Super Effective. So you can, if you want to listen to my voice, you can listen to it there as well. And someone I'd like to shout out would be Project_Origato. They've got, their pictures are, there's a lot of editing that goes on in them, and it's just done really well. Very colorful gallery, which I like a lot. So I think you should definitely go give them a follow.
I don't know this one. This is good.
No, me neither.
Awesome. Yeah. I love finding new creators. It's like, that's like part of the joy I have with doing these roundtables is like meeting new people and finding new people to fall down different rabbit holes and all that good stuff. Love that shit. Love it.
I know. I've already fallen down the road, like the rabbit hole of the, Pokemon doing things.
Oh, I can't wait to look.
Dude, you have to no. When you watch those videos, turn the sound on because he's like a sound engineer or something. Like he's just listen to it. It's so great.
Awesome.
Well, clearly the sound's off because we're doing this.
Well, yeah.
I'll go back. I'll go back.
All right. Well, my shout out is going to be Growlithe Girl.
Oh, she's great.
I love her.
So good.
I love her work. It's there's something about it that I don't know. I think that her content is exceptionally diverse, and I think that's kind of what I like about it because a blends of sunny photos, dark photos, humorous photos, photos that she's in. Like this whale shot is like my favorite. I don't know if I can get this in here if it'll adjust with. It's like the greatest thing ever.
So good. So good.
How did I miss that one? Oh my god.
So good.
Oh, that's so good.
Wonderful.
I love it. But but I wanted to thank everyone on the panel for coming on the show. Thank you guys so much, so very, very much. In closing, again, my name is Ken from the Lured Up podcast. Check out luredup.com for everything that we're doing here. Check out PokemonProfessor.com for everything that I'm doing with my network. And make sure that you guys connect with all of these amazing creators that we've had on the panel today. And get out there and shoot photography. I think that's one of the most important sentiments to get across. If you're into looking at this content, is that it kind of reminds me of like Little Chef from Ratatouille. It's like anyone can cook, you know what I mean? Anyone can do this, you know what I mean? Just get out there and shoot because it's something that is, I think, exceptionally empowering to realize that we have the ability to create content like this, and Pokemon Go gives us an amazing bridge to have a creative outlet, with the game that we're already playing and loving and connecting with. Find a new way to connect with the game. I think Go Snapshot is an awesome way to do that. So thank you everyone for checking this out. Again, if you're listening to this on a podcast service, check out the video podcast so you can see some of this content in action. And other than that, guys, we'll see everyone on the next roundtable. We're going to be covering Instagram creators on the next one, which is going to be cool, but not Go Snapshot creators, even though all you guys live on Instagram. Creators on Instagram.
Semantics.
Yes. We're all friends here. But thank you guys so much. We're going to be wrapping it up and taking the stream offline. Go, Team Rocket, go. We're going to figure this shit out now, what the hell's going on. All right, everyone.
12 minutes. Let's do this.
All right, thanks. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
Great talking to you. Bye.
Bye.